Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. I'm Charlie McKellips, and today we're going to talk a little bit about roping calves and things that we do to take care of them to keep them in the top shape for the rodeos and to make sure they have the easiest and healthiest lifestyle that they can. First of all though, before we go any further, I just want to remind you to please subscribe to my channel, like this video, and be sure to hit the bell notification icon to let you know when more videos that I put up will be on your YouTube algorithm. So that'll kind of help things out a little bit. Now on to my video here. What I'm talking about today, just a few little tips about roping calves and small tie-down calves. And this actually even go for like if you buy dairy calves, yeah, you want to bottle feed after you get them bottle fed and after you get them weaned off a bottle. This applies to any kind of smaller cattle that we take care of, and these are just little tips. This is not professional veterinary advice because I'm not a veterinarian, but I'm going to tell you things that work for us. And also, of course, so be sure to consult a veterinary professional to get advice on how to take care of your small cattle before you go and buy cattle of your own. So that's just something I just want to really suggest from the start. All right. First thing we do, I should say, here at the C.R. McKellips Rodeo Company is we try to make sure that we do not overfeed our calves. We try to feed just like a regular 15% pelleted feed, and if we need to, we'll mix a little corn in with it, or like a corn mix feed with it. But eventually we try to get them all on all pelleted feed. I don't like anything with molasses in it, nothing with a whole lot of corn in it either. Seem like to me the drier pellets do better. It keeps their stool together, and they don't get the runs or the scours, I should say, near as much. With that, we never ever feed alfalfa hay to these little calves. It may seem good, it's rich and it smells good, but we do not feed alfalfa to the little calves. Once again, it gets too green, it doesn't keep their stool together, and then it just goes in one end and out the other, literally. And it just don't help. They don't get any nutritional value out of it because they shoot it all out the back end, if you know what I'm saying. The next thing we do is, like I said, do not overfeed. Cattle get full. They're not like a horse. A horse, they eat. Well, cattle, they get full. And these little calves, they don't take very much. I mean, just an example, if I have 12 to 15 calves in a pen, I give them like a half a bucket of feed in the morning and a half a bucket of feed at night. I leave them a little. I want them to be hungry where they want more, because that means they'll keep eating. The worst thing that you can ever have when you have a little calf is they won't eat. And that's to me, that's a big no-no. So you want to keep their appetite, and that's a big part of it, is do not overfill them. Do not they're not like, it's like me. If I go to an all-you-can-eat buffet, I just keep eating. Trust me, look at me. But if you take these calves, once they're done, they're done. And if you keep it in front of them all the time, they won't eat because they'll just automatically be full. Then on top of that, the feed gets not fresh. So if you go say, okay, you're not paying attention, you're going to throw more feed on top of the old feed they didn't eat. Don't do that. You clean out the old feed, put a little bit of new feed down, and just give them what they can eat. And that's where a big thing is on those little calves. You have to monitor what you're doing. If you don't monitor what they're doing, then you're just in trouble. I mean, you're not. They won't hold up, and they won't live. Because that's the biggest thing, is they got to get the nutrition. The second thing along that with the feed is the water. You got to keep clean water for them every day, and you can't just go top off a tank. I mean, if they have 3/4 of a tank and they didn't drink it, dump it out, clean it out, and put more water in it. And during the summertime, when it gets hot and it gets kind of stale, just change out your water. It don't take you an extra 5 minutes, and if the water is that big of a deal, you probably shouldn't be having cattle. And I hate to say that, but it's true. You got to keep fresh water for these calves, and that's a very big important thing to us, because if they don't drink and they don't eat, they're not going to live. They're not healthy. They don't get the nutrients. It's just like us. If we don't eat right and we don't drink right, we get sick easier. We've seen that more than ever in the last year with coronavirus and everything. The people who had bad diets did not handle coronavirus near as good. It's the same thing with cattle, and the same thing with smaller cattle. If they don't eat good, they get sick, and that just helps keep them that much healthier. As I mentioned, the hay. Do not give them alfalfa hay. Give them brome grass type hay. We prefer brome here in Missouri. I know also I like prairie grass hay. It seems to work really good for them as well. Softer hay, that's really good. We always try to feed them right off square bales. Right now we're feeding large square bales, but we flake it off. But it's all kind of fluffy. They can get to it. You don't want to give them like really tight flakes. You want to fluff it up for them, and that'll keep them eating. Again, I don't know. I say you don't want to feed them too much, but hay is a little different than grain, just as long as it stays fresh. Now, if it gets a little wet or something, it rains, clean it out, put new hay in, and they'll eat it. But you want to make sure they clean it up too, though. The other thing that we do, and we try to make sure of, is we try to make sure that we keep all of our lots mowed down all the time during the summer, especially during the summer. You don't want weeds. You don't want things growing up in it, and that helps avoid your pink eye. You get a lot of pink eye from weeds growing up, things like that. So whatever you do not let your lots get too tall. Also, they eat better too. They'll eat the grass a little bit better when it's cut. When it stays cut, it keeps it a little drier, and they tend to eat it a little better. For some reason or another, calves don't like eating tall grass, especially the smaller the calf. They do not eat tall grass. Now, when you take like your bigger roping steers, your 450 pounders, even 350 to 400 pound cattle, then you could leave them in taller grass. They'll eat it all day. But these little calves, you got to keep them in short grass. They eat it better, and they don't get the runs near as much, and they don't get the pink eye near as bad. So that's just another thing that we always do. We try to keep our lots mowed, and when it gets warm out and the grass is really growing, then yes, we mow our lots about every week, about every 5 to 6 days. Those are things right there that really make a difference. The other thing that we try to make sure of too are supplements, getting the right supplements that we use. I'm a big believer in vitamin B complex. I love vitamin B complex. I like the natural EAD as well. That helps a lot with their metabolism, and kind of helps keep their immune system up. And then the other one is if I need an antibiotic exceed. Anything that comes from a cell barn or even near a cell barn, or if you got something that's a little bit droopy and not feeling quite the greatest, I always give them about 3 milliliters of exceed. And that's a nice antibiotic exceed. Don't take very much, and price per shot is very low. About 1.5 milliliters per 100 pounds is what I go with. And that's kind of what they recommend as well as dosage. But again, be sure to talk to a veterinarian before you do that. But like I said, everything I've done is we've got consulted veterinarians before we do it. You can buy look into getting minerals. We put a lot of different minerals in our calf feed depending on kind of time of the year. We also put in a lot of different we try to make sure, like sometimes I'll do an injectable other vitamins as well. So sorry, I got a little bit tongue twisted there. That tends to happen, So but that's kind of what we try to do here, and try to take care of the cattle and do the best that we can for them. So let's just take a look real quick at some of the cattle here. Excuse me. As you see, this set's here up at the hay bunk, and then we got some out there that are eating some grass, and like I said, we just kind of try to keep a good eye on them. We check them twice a day at least. Sometimes I'll go through them 3 times a day, because you never know. One minute they're good, next minute they're not as good. So I mean, calves are kind of funny about that. But so that's kind of stuff that we try to do, and I hope that kind of helps out a little bit and gives it a little bit of insight into what we're doing here. And, and that works if you have 5 calves or 50 calves. It's just kind of do simple things. Don't try to reinvent the wheel. We also another medicine that we use a lot of sometimes is Resflor Gold, which is another brand of New Flor. It's an antibiotic, and the gold means it has banamine mixed in with it. So Banamine's a good anti-inflammatory as well. That kind of helps too if they do have a little bit of a cough, and or if they're a little sore or whatever. It kind of helps them feel a little bit better. So yeah, that's the other thing that we do like to do. We do like to use a lot of that as well. It takes a little bit more. It's more of syrupy when you inject it, so it's a little bit tougher to inject. But it's really good too as well. Like if they get a little bit of pink eye, I like to give them a shot of that when they get pink eye, and it usually clears it up, and it helps clear it up in a couple days. I use some pink eye spray as well. Well, that's not it. Vetricin. is usually what I keep for pink eye. But this time of year we usually don't have pink eye. It's not usually that bad of a problem. But usually by come June, July, August, when it starts really getting dry and dusty, that's usually when the pink eye comes in. And also try to avoid the flies. That's another reason we don't really like to use feed with molasses. It tends to attract the flies, where your dry pelleted feed usually don't attract as many flies. So anyways, I hope that kind of helps out a little bit, and kind of gives you a little bit more insight into our roping calves and how we take care of things here in Missouri. And hopefully it could probably apply about anywhere. Again, talk to a veterinarian though. If you get little calves and you want to take care of them, this video might help you out a little bit, give you a little bit of guide. But excuse me, I'm fighting a little sinuses myself. But again, talk to a veterinarian first, get some professional advice, and they will guide you in the right way as well. So I don't want to give anyone bad advice, but I just, like I said, I'd say what works for us, and that's about what best I can do. So hope you enjoyed this video. Again, be sure, if you liked it, be sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and be sure to turn those bell notifications on, and we'll see you next time.